Hi, I'm Rockn Ron, and I make the Rocket skateboard bearings. I want to introduce to you the latest contraption I have today, this Rocket Wash Skate Bearing Cleaning System. My Rocket Washer will clean your bearings efficiently with very little waste. It's designed to use isopropyl alcohol, 91% or better. Don't use less than 91%, there's too much water content. You can buy it at the local drugstore, and you can also use acetone with your washer. Don't use water-based cleaners, citrus cleaners, or WD-40. Alright, let's rock! Let's do it! Alright, I have a set of my bearings out of my board here, and the first thing I'm going to do is wipe off all the dirt off the seals to keep them out of my wash. Put a little isopropyl alcohol on a paper towel or rag and carefully wipe the dirt off the seals. Now remove the rocket seal. Use a sharp needle and pry the seal from the outer ring. You can also try a sharp push pin or a safety pin. Poke the point of the needle in the outer seal groove and pry the seal out carefully. This should be pretty easy. Now you're ready to go after you've done all 8. Now you're ready to use your washer. You're going to take the nylon nut and remove it off the plunger bolt. Remove the 2 spacers that separate the 2 bearings and load the 2 bearings on. You'll notice one bearing has an open ball side and a closed ball side. Put the open ball side up so when it's in the machine the ball side will be facing down. Put one bearing on, 2 spacers, the other bearing, and the nylon nut. Just like that. Okay, now fill your rocket washer up with your isopropyl alcohol, 91% or better, to about the 55 cc mark or just below the bottom bearing. When you put the rocket washer all together, the bottom bearing should be just above the fluid level, like that. That's the level that it should be at, right about there. Place your hand on the red handle and pump using full strokes. Don't push down too hard to avoid damage to the washer. Bottom bearing should travel around the 40 cc mark. Pump for about 20 seconds with quick strokes. Do a close-up. Yeah, I don't know how close you can get. After doing all your pumps, wait. Alright, now wait. Don't move the unit. Allow it to sit untouched for 1 minute and allow the stubborn dirt to float to the bottom. After waiting, pump 20 or 30 times with a little bit gentler, shorter strokes than the first time, with the bottom bearing hanging around the 45 cc mark. This helps not to stir up the alcohol and the dirt on the bottom. Remove the bearings and set them on a clean, dry table. Install 2 more bearings and repeat it again. Notice how the dirt collects on the bottom, keeping your bearings on top and away from the dirt. Now repeat the initial wash and secondary wash for all 8 bearings. Now you're ready for your rinse. Dump out the dirty alcohol from the initial wash and rinse out the tube. Fill with fresh alcohol to the 50 cc mark like before. Agitate bearings for 20 or 30 seconds and perform your rinse cycle. When you're done, remove the bearings from the unit, set them on a clean surface, and you're ready to finish with all 8 bearings. Load 2 more on and keep going until you have finished all 8 bearings. Alright, now you're ready to dry your bearings. It is very important to thoroughly dry your bearings and dry them properly before you add lubricant or use your bearings. You want to hot air dry your bearings. Use a hair dryer. It is very important to dry the bearings for a few minutes or until the bearings get warm, almost too hot to the touch. Then allow the bearings to cool back down to room temperature before doing a final inspection and lubrication of your bearings. Your bearings may feel rough while still wet or hot. to know what the real deal is, completely dry and completely cool. Then inspect, then you're ready to relube your bearings. You may wash your seals in your rocket washer. You can take the rubber seals, throw them on the plunger bolt without the spacers, put on the nylon nut to hold them on, put them in your rocket washer, and agitate for about 20-30 seconds like before. Now you don't want to leave them in here too long because it will eventually dry out your seal. So leave it in there for a short period of time, agitate them, put the seals on your table or drying tray, and dry your seals immediately. Make sure your seals are nice and dry like you did with your bearings. We're going to put a coat of oil later on the seals to help revive them. Make sure they're thoroughly dry. Now you're ready to reinstall your seals. Put your rocket seal on the open ball side of the bearing and press down. Spin the bearing and make sure it's not suffering from any seal drag from the seal. Put another seal on, spin the bearing. This bearing seems fine. Throw another seal on. Spin that bearing seems fine. Grab your next bearing. Throw a rubber seal on. Spin it. Make sure it's nice and set inside the seal groove or it will rub. Uh-oh. We have a seal that rubs. This is rubbing. So what we need to do is replace that seal. That seal's not going to work. So we're going to take our safety pin or our needle and push out, take out the seal like we showed you before. Take out the seal, grab another rocket seal, pop it on there. Hey, there we go. Now you need one new rocket seal out of your pack to replace the bad seal.
Take a new seal.
There we go. Now you have a new seal. And you should have 8 rockets ready to go. Now you're ready to relube your bearing. Take your bottle of rocket propellant or rocket fluid extreme and add 2 drops of oil to each bearing. With the fluid extreme you may need 3. Speed cream or rocket propellant, use 2. Drop 2 drops of oil on the back side of the ball cage. At this point the seals will be facing down. Now what you're going to do is tilt the bottle so the tip of the bottle is wet. And we're going to wet the back of the ball cage. Without squirting any oil in, wet the back of the ball cage. Just get like the tip of the bottle wet and you can moisten the ball cage. That'll keep the ball cage from getting brittle. This is an important step that I do to all my bearings. Remember not to squirt any oil in the bearing, just moisten the back of the ball cage. That's the trick. After you're done wetting the back of the retainer, pick up the bearing and work in the lube. This will get the lubrication into the working mechanisms. The last step is preservation. We have lint-free towels here at California Bearing, so I use a lint-free towel. You can also use the tip of your finger. Add a drop of rocket propellant to the lint-free towel at the tip of your finger and gently wipe a little oil on the side of the bearing and the rubber seal. This will revive the rubber seal and protect the metal from rusting. This is a good way to preserve your bearings to keep them from rusting. You may collect a little extra dirt, but you will keep your bearing from rusting, and that will bead your bearings in. Alright, that's it. Thank you for buying my Rocket Wash Skate Bearing Cleaner by Rockn Ron's Rockets. You can reach me at ron@californiabearing.com.